Effectiveness is a really complex beast. It's more than just that one number. There are other components that sit beside that return on investment. There's context and there's influence.
What the marketing world desperately needs are media and metrics that will drive long-term growth. Most of the history of social media has been pretty poor on the effectiveness front, but the best way to improve the effectiveness of social media is to team it with powerful media such as news brands. And again, the uplift is massive here.
Peter showed us some really quite compelling stats around almost this renaissance of the effectiveness of news brands over the last few years. So really the challenge and the responsibility for us on the agency side is how we take that to clients and really drive that behavioural change.
There's one particular context effect that actually the environment in which the ads are seen is hugely important to their power. It's that we get eyeballs in the right context, in a context that we trust the message in the right frame of mind, and that one of the simplest ways to make online display work for us is to get a trusted and quality and safe environment.
It's really hard to separate out digital news brands from this amorphous mass. To try and really understand the impact of digital news brands as part of an overall display campaign and compare the effectiveness of different elements of online display. The overall partnership performs better than the sum of its parts. This shows the importance of partly a content partnership, but also of having digital news brands within an overall campaign mix. This campaign gave us the ideal opportunity to specifically test digital news brands and compare them to other elements of the digital display buy. News brands delivered a 10% more cost-effective ads in view than the rest of the display buy.
It was really interesting to hear that news brands can deliver both short-term effects as well as driving long-term brand building.
There's lots of attribution models that exist, but what none of them do as a matter of course is to try and understand context. How do we start to try and understand context and try and build that into digital measurement?
We found ourselves in a situation where premium quality and brand safe effectively used interchangeably. We believe that that's not right. We need to be able to make a differentiation. Fundamentally, we saw that there was a more positive impact on brand metrics from quality inventory than there was from inventory that we sourced from an open exchange. So together with Newsworks, we will be rolling out this study across 50 or so clients, across all of the Group M agencies to make it a proper, robust piece of research that we're also happy to share it with the market as a whole. This is very much aimed at presenting the value of a quality environment and re-levelling, if you like, the playing field between the quality publishers and the tech platforms. We also want to use this as part of our trading conversations as well. So when we're going to clients from a planning perspective, we can have a quality score, if you like, against the inventory that they're buying.
One of the most obvious things about advertising in any media is that just because it can be seen doesn't mean that it will be seen. What's interesting about news brands is people notice ads much quicker. The news brand sites that have adopted a fewer, better ads approach tend to get an awful lot more attention.
The biggest thing that I'll remember going forward is the Lumen piece on the reality of attention. Absolutely fascinating. I think we concentrate so hard on finding the right audience, putting our message in the right context, but we rarely think about is it actually being paid attention to. So really for me that's brought a whole new spin on the big conversation about viewability that's been going on for quite some time.
Ads that are in context get far more attention. There seems to be a very strong relationship between engaging with content and engaging with advertising. It turns out news brands seem to have far more engaging content at a far greater regularity than anywhere else. And so we see that advertising on news brands tends to get around about 80% more attention than it does on the sort of long tail of websites that are out there.
What you've seen this morning really is the what of effectiveness. And we want to take a little bit of time to explore the why. So to do that, we're going to take you back 50 years to 1967. A book called The Medium is a Massage was published by a rather clever chap called Marshall McLuhan.
I think what's really interesting about Marshall McLuhan is that he talks about mediums and how as you have a new medium comes into the landscape, it doesn't kill the old mediums necessarily, but it can really shake things up a little bit. So what it does is it helps to kind of really crystallise what is good about established mediums. There are simply more ways to engage with a news story now, and these means and these mediums use a wider range of our senses than simply vision.
What is a medium anyway? Digital's completely changed that. Most sort of powerful organisations that have adapted to this are news brands. Trust is very correlated with the thoughtful, divergent point of view that legacy news brands live in. The news that is delivered with news brands through social media is 1.4 times more trusted than news delivered through just other sources through social media.
The biggest thing I took out of today's conference was to think about how news brand advertising and partnerships can play into the wider marketing mix. So something that's really important for us as advertisers is being able to quantify the success of the different channels that we run in. So that could be comparing out of home in our campaigns to online digital display and our partnerships with news brands. So it's really, really valuable to hear from media agencies as well as from independent research agencies about how news brands can work and play into the marketing mix.